and your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only like 11 people alive of the 200 and something crew, and the entire ship was rotting down to the waterline. That's destiny. That's will. That's striving. That's being a trailblazer, an explorer, going into space, mathematics, quantum mechanics, the secrets of the universe. It's all there. Life is fiery with its beauty. It's incredible detail. Tuning into it. They want to shatter your mind talking about Justin Bieber.
Hello out there. Happy Friday, everybody. We are on the air. I'm a little bit early today, 7 minutes earlier than usual. Because in case you hadn't known, we had a time change here. Specific to my local area, we had a time change where we went back an hour. What a morning it's been. Tried to do a little pregame show on Rumble today, and that didn't work. Apparently it froze halfway through the stream. And then I got caught up in a meeting that I thought was going to be a little bit shorter than it was. So we're late. We're extremely late today. So I do apologize for that, but it's Friday, so you can't be too mad. And it looks like the chat's been pretty active for the pregame and the real game here. So welcome to my friends over on Rumble, the Rednecks. Welcome to my friends over on Noster. And welcome to my friends on the YouTubes. Happy Friday, everybody. It's a beautiful, beautiful day here today. Look at this. First time in a very long time. There's been almost no snow. Almost no snow. It's going. It actually snowed last night. Or it wasn't really snowing. It was like freezing rain. So officially, I think spring is here. Spring has sprung in the end of April. Sweet. Right on. But anyways, it's good to see everybody here. Today's show is titled Stack What They Can't Steal. And this is kind of based on a thought I had yesterday. And I figured we could dive a little bit into it. So I think it looks like everything's working now. It looks like my second screen here, I had to do a couple of restarts before the show. But it looks like the second stream is going to work. So we'll keep our fingers crossed here. But yeah, it's good to see everybody here. We'll start with the chat, see what's going on. We got Mark, Bob, and Stewie. Says good morning. Good morning, Bob. Mob. Mark, Bob, Stewie. Smob. No, that doesn't even make sense. Mark, Bob, and Stewie. Good to see you, fellas. Joshua. Big shout out to Josh. He sent Arn a nice big zap. 5:30 in the morning today. So Josh must have been up for a while now. He said, Arn, I've been busy. The past 2 days trimming my liberal cedar hedges. Eh? So thank you, Josh. Good to see you. What just happened over in Zapstream? What just happened from Bob, Mark, and Stewie over in Zapstream? Look at this. We got I wonder what the criteria is for that. Because we got a flashing zap over in the Noster right now. A flasher. The flashers are pretty rare, and it looks like we just got one. So Moravian's over there. Moravian sent a double shot of espresso to start the Fad Zap Friday. Thank you, Moravian. He's just said happy Friday. Happy Friday to you, my friend. Great to see you, and thanks for Moravian's been the MOB a couple days in a row here. He's on fire. But he's got some competition today. David T with another Fad Zap for Friday. 4420 units of freedom. David T, thank you, my friend. And look at this big one here. You'll have to be on Noster to see it. but it is a flasher. I don't know what the threshold is for flashers, but I'm thinking it's probably 50K units of freedom is the threshold. I'm thinking, but this one was a little bit higher than that. And it's from 65 Sats. Mark says, I attended a local Bitcoin meetup last night. First time doing this. It was a great experience hanging out with like-minded people in person. Feeling blessed today. Happy Fat Zap Friday. So Mark usually sends a fatter zap. He's in the chat almost every morning here, I'd say. But Fridays are a little bit bigger. But this Friday he went a little bit higher. He got a flasher. So that's we need one of those like bells when we get a big one. But thank you, Mark, very, very, very much. That's definitely an MOB, a most outstanding Bitcoiner in the running for it, for sure. He's going to be a hard one to beat. Thank you, Mark. I'm glad you enjoyed that, though. I'm glad you went to a meetup. I think everybody needs to do that. That should be at the top of everybody's to-do list this year, is get to a Bitcoin meetup somehow, some way, whether it's a local one. I don't have many local ones around here, or a conference or something like that. But it's a life-changing experience to be surrounded by people who are just like you. I'd say that one of the biggest downsides to kind of going down the Bitcoin rabbit hole is how lonely of a place it is. And it's great to chat with people online, but there's nothing like the experience of talking to people in person, face to face, and surrounded by people who think like you. It's very rare, because as people would know here, you go to a party, you go to a wedding, you go to an event, some sort of social outing, and you're probably the only Bitcoiner there. And so you kind of have to talk about, mainstream stuff, the game last night, the politics going on, the weather. But at a Bitcoin meetup, you can kind of cut through the shit and get right to the point. And so glad to see that, Mark. And thank you again very, very much for a big zap, a flasher. Those are pretty rare around here, the flashers. So thank you, Mark. What Josh here? Morning Rumble and the Luxter. Like and comment for the algo. Don't know if I'll be on Zap Stream today. At a cardiologist right now. Then I got to finish trimming these unruly liberal hedges. That's been happening today. I don't like it. So I'm back to one screen again. Something just keeps tripping this. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's causing it, but it just keeps tripping it. And so the screen shuts off. Obviously my camera went off. My microphone went off. It's all kind of running through this. Oh, no, I'm on the wrong thingy. There we go. There's the right mic. That's super frustrating. I mean, I remember we went through a little bit of a phase here on the show where that happened pretty much every day, which was beyond frustrating. It seems like it happens less and less now, but it's still, I upgraded this whole setup here and then it stopped happening and then it looks like it's back again now. So I'll have to figure something out with that. I don't know what's causing that, but anyways, unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Let's take some of this stuff out of here. I got one of these like big 10-in-1 things. And it's not really hot though. I don't know what would be causing that. Anyways, who cares? We're here. Mark says, is this a place to catch a stream that doesn't freeze? Well, I would have hoped so, but it doesn't look like that. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. It's just some days, Jake's here. Good morning, Jake. 21 hats. Jenny's here. Good morning. Is this the right place to learn why Jor hates XRP? Absolutely is. And the XRP army finally showed up. I was expecting them. I've been expecting them, but they finally showed up in the comment section of that video yesterday, last night, today, still going at me. It's hilarious. If you actually look at that video and some of the comments that people leave, there's no rebuttals. They just say it's all they're telling me to do my research. They're telling me to they're calling me a clown, a moron. somebody who doesn't know what he's talking about. That's the XRP comments. There's not like anything saying, hey, you're wrong about this. It's just, it's nonsense. It's the biggest joke, honestly. And the thing for me too, the thing that really bothers me is it's not like I'm telling people to sell their XRP and buy Bitcoin. My biggest issue with things like XRP and some of these other cryptos is that it's been a very big detriment to Bitcoin. Honestly, I think that that's one of the biggest problems that we've had in Bitcoin through the last 10 years is people conflating Bitcoin with crypto. And people hear all these things, all these scams around crypto, and then they associate Bitcoin with that. Even the FTX thing, that was the crazy thing to me, is that FTX had nothing to do with Bitcoin. If FTX would have had Bitcoin, which they claim to have, none of that would have happened. But when everything came out, we saw that they had almost zero Bitcoin. I think they had like 0.00001 of a Bitcoin. And it had nothing to do with Bitcoin. It had nothing to do with the network. It had nothing to do with the supply. It had nothing to do with the code. It had nothing to do with any of that. It was all just crypto. Crypto brought that whole ship down, and Bitcoin was the one that got blamed for it. And so I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of crypto and Bitcoin being in the same conversation because they are nothing alike. So, I mean, the thing for me is like, I'm actually happy that they're commenting because it's getting in front of more people. So they're helping out the algorithm, which they don't know. I don't think they're even smart enough to know, to realize that. So anyways, XRP, yes, big scam. Philly says, good morning, Jory. Able to make a stream finally. Good to see you, Philly. I'm usually me and Philly are the ones hanging out in Rumble for Jerry's stream. Lauren once in a while. Lauren says, good morning. Good morning, Lauren. Good to see you. He's always there, though. Sometimes on YouTube, sometimes on Rumble. Adventure Bo says, happy Friday. What's funny is 6 months ago, my goal was to own XRP, Solana, and Ethereum as part of my digital strategy. After learning more, I only DCA to Bitcoin now. Good man. See, that's why I do videos like that. And I'm not claiming that it was because of me, but that's why I do that, because that's kind of the idea that everybody has. Either they stay away from Bitcoin because they've heard so many things about crypto, or they're like, oh, this is kind of interesting. I should have some Bitcoin. I should have some Ethereum, some Solana, some XRP, some whatever else. And then they just waste a bunch of time and energy and stress. So the videos like that I do are for those people. So they have a purpose. And I know for a fact that there's been a lot of people in this, the community here, who have basically parted with all their altcoins. It doesn't happen like overnight. It's a consistent thing. And so I realize that I repeat a lot of things, but it's part of it. It's part of the, I don't know if you'd call it a strategy, but it's necessary. Sats and Sunsets. Looks like he's up to something here. The Smith gave a membership to Sats and Sunsets. No, gave it to Philly. Sorry. Sats and Sunsets gave a membership to Philly. Thank you, Sats and Sunsets, and congrats to Philly AZ, the man himself. There he is, Sats and Sunsets. By the way, I missed a zap yesterday from Sharon B. She told me she did, and then I just missed it in my phone. So Sharon B, I added to the list yesterday too, after hours, because I didn't see that till after. Buck 52, the Doomer's here. You're not a doomer, are you? Are you? Oh. Stop listening to people. Justin Bieber, exactly. Sin's here. Good morning, amigos and amiguettes. Cheers, Sin. Happy Friday, man. It is a beautiful, beautiful Friday. The captain's here. Captain gets a salute. What do we got here from Movie Times? Don't know what this is. Not going to check it out. E&E, not on Rumble, but one of the bigger supporters here on the channel. So we got to give some love to our guy, E&E. Says, good morning, Jordan gang. Listening, driving home. Happy stacking. So probably after his shift today, E&E. Look at him. What a beauty. What a beauty. Jenny says, a meetup? Nope. I don't even like people. Yeah, that's fair. Jenny. That's fair. So I guess Jenny's not going to Vegas then. Look at this, Sats and Sunsets with a big Fat Zap Friday today. Sats and Sunsets with a 6969 units of freedom. Nice number there for Fat Zap Friday. And Jake's over in the Noster as well. Good morning, Jake, over on Noster. Let's try telling Noster that we're live. We've been really shitty at that all week. I don't think I've announced it once. I got to be better. I got to make some changes in my life. I got to make some changes. To what? Who knows? But something's got to. So let's get to Noster. Let's see here. We got to update the show today. What's the title? Stack what they can't steal. That's a good title. Okay, let's share. We are live. We'll put some what should we put for Mark after that big zap? Mark 6'5" sats. We'll put we'll give a little tribute to Mark today on Noster 6'5". People will be like, what the hell does that mean? 6'5". There we go. Oh yeah, Noster knows. We got a good crew over in Noster today. What's up, Noster? If you're watching, give us a hello today from Noster. We got Rantaroon Terranton. Looks like a member on YouTube. Good morning. That's quite the name, quite the profile pic there. Rantaruantatan. Look at this. We got Kev, 21 Sat Street is in the house. Good to see you, Kev. Great to see you. Jenny says, be right back. Nico's sick today. Nothing like stepping in dog vomit at 3 a.m. Man, yesterday we had cat vomit. And today we got dog vomit. What's going on? Is it flu season for the pets? Is it pet flu season? Too much red light for the computer. I don't think so. I think the red light's probably helping it. Sats and Sunsets with another Memby. Another redneck has been born. Who was it? 21 Sat Street, the newest redneck in the chat. Thank you, Sats and Sunsets. That's 2 today. That's 2 for him. And a zap. He's buzzing today. He's buzzing. Sketchucation Rich, good to see you, my friend. Ginger's here. Josh over on YouTube. Josh, good to see you, man. Wish you're on Rumble, but good to see you. Captain said, during the pregame chat, I mentioned that I sold last night all of my altcoins H-bar for Bitcoin. Nice. All in now. Isn't that a good feeling? I got some of this too, Sats. I got a couple of these. Dust cryptos. Oh, you know what? Yes, you're right. Sats and Sunsets and a Fiat Zap. 10 Sats from the future. And somebody else sent one today. It was Praetorian in the pregame show. I gotta give credit for that one. The pregame show didn't turn out as I expected it to. But we'll be back. I had a couple ideas this morning as I was thinking through that for a pregame show. We'll see. It'll hopefully not be too much more work for me, but it'd be kind of cool to be able to do that. We'll see. I was kind of thinking of like doing a time machine almost, where we could watch like a stream from a couple years ago and just see like what the mentality was, who was in the chat, what the price was, what we were talking about. I just think that'd be cool. More so for everybody just kind of hop in the chat and kind of start the day. I don't know. We'll see. But let's get to the mempool here. I'm on a single screen today, so it's going to be a little bit awkward for me, but that's not going to slow us down. That's not going to hurt us. We're used to going through shit here. Okay, what are we at for the mempool? We're at the block height of 946,461. And Antpool was the winner. They just hit the last block. The very last block there was Antpool just now. And fees are still pretty low. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Not bad though. Not bad. Miners are getting paid. Oh, Mara got one. We're falling behind though. We're falling behind. 34 blocks behind. Yesterday, I think we were right on track. So it must have been a slow day here. 3.41% down. With some time to go. 1,100 blocks left to go. But I don't know what's causing that. I really don't know. No storms to blame. No wars to blame. I don't know. Maybe I missed some news today. But we are quite a bit behind on the time chain today. Speaking of the time chain, let's check out the calendar here. So we're currently in the block. No, sorry, the epoch number 5. V for Vendetta, V for Visionaries, V for epoch number 5, and V for Ducks Fly Together. Because that's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing. Oh, look at this. That's a new one though. We got 20.02. Wow. You know, it doesn't seem like much, but think about this. Yesterday we went from 20.01 million Bitcoin mined to 20.02 million Bitcoin mined. And so there's only 0.98 million left to be mined forever. So we just crossed one of those, 0.01. There's 0.98 million Bitcoin left to be mined right here. This is all the Bitcoin left for the next 113 years. And those trickle out via subsidies. That's how these new Bitcoin are born. New Bitcoin are released into the wild, into the circulating supply. Every block, 3.125 Bitcoin released. Paid out to the miner. So the miner in this case was Antpool. So they got the subsidy, which is the newly generated Bitcoin every block. Plus they got the transaction fees. So every time somebody sends a transaction on the mainnet on layer 1, you got to include a transaction fee with it. The higher transaction fee you pay, the more likely you are to get put into the next block. And so all the transaction fees from all the transactions inside of that block, they get paid to the miner. So it's the subsidy, the fixed amount, plus the transaction fees, the variable amount because it changes every block based on the demand, and the total reward. So they got 3.1408, 1.5 million sats in transaction fees, and the subsidy. The exchange rate today, 7.7. Oh, can we hit all sevens here? That'd be good luck. Joey Baggs would like that one. Well, that was kind of close, 7700. But if you got $1 in your pocket, $1 under the couch, $1 in your bank account, we call dollars units of illusion, units of trash, units of the worst money in human history. You can trade one of those for 1,287 of the best money ever created. 1 unit of trash for 1,287 units of freedom, of sovereignty, of scarcity, of energy, of the best money in human history. That's a pretty good trade. We call that the deal of a lifetime. And we might even hit 7 sevens before we go here. No, we're going back down. Are we gonna hit it? Are we gonna hit it? Oh, come on, baby. Come on. Oh, so close. So close. We might hit it. Who knows? Oh. Oh, we skipped it. What? We skipped over it. Damn it. Oh, there's a good one. Oh, wow. What a way to spend time watching the exchange rate of Bitcoin. Kind of a joke, honestly. Kind of a joke. The fact that uneducated people are still willing to trade units of trash for... There it is, right there. We got her. We did it. That's good luck. We're going to have a good Friday now. Nick says Bitcoin doesn't rely on altcoins to run. Exactly. Doesn't rely on anything. That's what people need to realize, is that Bitcoin is its own thing. It has no real ties to the traditional financial system. Even though again, look at that. Even held on for a little while. Yeah, we're going to have a good Friday today. I like that meme. Speaking of that, I like that meme where it's like, I saw 11:11 on the microwave today, so everything's going to be fine. Doesn't matter what else is going on in the world. I saw 11:11 or like 5:55 on the microwave, so everything's going to be good. That's where we are right now. But yeah, Bitcoin's a completely separate network. Even though we priced it in fiat, it has nothing to do with fiat. Even though they sell ETFs based on people who hold Bitcoin, it has nothing to do with the fiat system itself. It's completely detached. And people learn over this next, whatever amount of years you want to call it, is that Bitcoin is a completely different thing. And you can measure it. You can buy a stake in the fiat system that's backed by Bitcoin. But if you have Bitcoin in cold storage, you're in a completely different world. And yeah, it definitely has nothing to do with the shit coins. Pre-game show, Flashback Fridays, Flash Zap Fridays. I was kind of thinking every day, honestly, Sin, but yeah, it might be better just to do on Fridays. That's probably a more reasonable ask. I actually like that idea. Watchmaker should make a fancy watch that shows the block height. That'd be kind of cool. Jenny says, we had a storm last night. NEIDOK almost wiped off the map. Guest mass casualty event called in years. Jenny, are you cleaning up puke while you wrote that? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Nick, Love and Josh, giving some love. Good man. Josh said, when using a Bitcoin ATM, is the best move to put it in a mobile wallet, then move it to self-custody? To kind of break the chain there, or what do you mean? Praetorian says he's late. That's, if you think you were late, you should have seen me today. I got held up in a meeting and I was like 40 minutes late today. But we're here. We are here. And we got a big day in store here. So let's see what the price of gold or Bitcoin is in gold terms today. 16.46. So we're still on track. We're still on track for our bottom call. This is the real price of Bitcoin here. Doesn't look that great 6 months. Doesn't look that great year. Doesn't look that great 5 years. But when you zoom out a little further, it's pretty clear what the trend is here. The fact that you can trade 16 pet shiny rocks for pretty much one town or city in cyberspace, that's a pretty good trade, especially since we're not the Flintstones, especially since gold is way too much to actually transact with, especially since gold centralizes. The central banks are the biggest holders of gold in the world. So if you're buying gold, that's signaling to the central banks that you want them to be more powerful. So now is the time. I've kind of struggled with that myself because I used to be a precious metals guy. I had a little bit of gold, lots of silver, and I pretty much swapped all of it for Bitcoin. The gold for sure. I still have a little bit of silver, but silver is different to me. Silver is different than gold to me because I feel like silver actually has much more utility than gold does. And silver is more of like the people's currency. That's why I think, anyways, I might have to look into this further, but I'm pretty sure that's why the JFK went with silver. I'm pretty sure that's why the founding fathers of the United States went with silver, is because it was the people's currency. Gold has been held by the kings and the queens and the central banks for thousands of years. So I still like silver, but gold's just basically telling the world that you still want the central banks to be in power. We don't want that. First mass casualty event there, and it is a city about an hour and a half from OKC. I do my best proofreading after I hit send. I'm the same way, Jenny. I'm the same way. There's more gold than silver above ground. Pretty shocking. That's what I mean. Like gold. I think gold's been one of the biggest lies told to people. But you know, it's very similar to me as like the XRP crowd. It's like you can't tell the people, you can't tell them anything. If they have their mind made up that gold is what you want, then nothing's going to change their mind. Just look at Peter Schiff. And he's a little bit different because I think he does it intentionally. But you can't change their mind because they have too much into it. It's their ego. Their ego gets in the way. Somebody said that the other day that XRP is an IQ test and Bitcoin is an ego test. And it's very true. I like that one. XRP is an IQ test, which checks out. But Bitcoin's not an IQ test, but an ego test. Because you got to sacrifice quite a bit. You got to be willing to stick your neck out a little bit. You got to be willing to be called a dipshit for a while. For like 98% of your life, you're going to be called a dipshit. And because you can't touch it, it feels difficult for people. So you have to take time. You have to take time to understand what Bitcoin is before you can get too far into it. What do we got here? AI 7s, yeah. This is a fun game. We should have been betting on it or something. David T zapped another 420. Thank you, David T. I take gold or Bitcoin for my services. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't see I don't see it with gold. I really don't. It's just, it doesn't make any sort of sense to me. But that could just be me. Maybe. Plot twist. I'm the idiot. Plot twist. I'm the low IQ guy. But that's the funny part is that with the, oh yeah, what did I miss here? I missed a couple things here. Somebody sent in 3 hours ago. Who is this? 10K. It says, happy Friday, Jor. I'm going to guess that was Letha. I don't know for sure. But that came in 3 hours ago before even the pregame show, I think. Oh, Odell zapped 222. That must have been last night. Thank you, Odell. I don't know what that was on. 1845. That looks like a Sin Diesel zap. Sin Diesel, 1845 units of freedom. Thank you, Sin. Mucho appreciate. Mark said, I do like the pregame show idea, but George, do you really need another task added to your daily morning list? Under promise and over deliver. You already have yourself spread thin. I agree. Yeah, that's why it probably wouldn't be a daily thing. I like the idea of Friday though. That could definitely, because it would probably take me like 5 minutes total to do, and I can definitely sacrifice 5 minutes. We'll see. I'll think on it. First, you're 98% dipshit, then 2% lucky. We're currently in the dipshit phase of Bitcoin. Yeah, will that ever change to like partially correct about things? Partially should have listened to Jor? Partially, hey, maybe this guy spent thousands of hours into this thing and turned out to be correct? I don't know. Also, it doesn't really matter too much, does it? I'd trade my truck for 2 hours. No, you wouldn't. Why would you do that? You can drive a truck. What do you do with gold? What are you supposed to do with gold? Like it's literally a pet rock. It's crazy to me. It's crazy how many people are so hell-bent and stubborn with gold. It blows my mind. And you know, a big part of it's like lack of education for sure. But like that's on you. Like that, you can't really, I don't know. Okay, let's check on Nostr today. There's a video out here I want to watch from. There's a video here I want to watch from Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey. Okay, we talked about that stuff already. Let me go to this. Let's bring up Jack right now. Because it's already I was quite a bit late today, obviously starting, so I'm not going to be able to do a very long show today. Because we got our Maple stream coming up right away. Oh yeah, let's bring this up here. Jack. Where are you, Jack? Sats and Sunsets. Back at it. Sats and Sunsets loves the Fridays. That's he really comes out on Fridays. 5 memberships to the YouTube channel. Congratulations, whoever got those. We'll see. Let's check it out. Who got them? We'll see who's in the chat, but not saying hello to us. It's a good way to expose the, not that we need to expose them. It's because some people just like watching. Some people just like watching the stream. They don't really have anything to contribute. That's fine. I'm not going to hold it against them. But who got it here? We got Kryptoni. Kryptoni got one. Bitnova got one. Bitcoin Motorist got one. Twisted Clown. And Sierra got one. So everybody say thanks to Sats and Sunsets for that. Thank you, Sats and Sunsets. Those people who got the memberships here, you're going to get about how many? 100 episodes of Bitcoin School this year you can check out. And Bitcoin School starts in oh, you know what? I got a little announcement to make too today. Just a little wee one. Just a little wee announcement. But I think people are going to be happy about it. And maybe I'll announce it on the show today. I guess I kind of have to now. I kind of have to. Sorry, I'm just putting on some tunes here. Look at this song. Look at this song. I would actually like to see the lyrics to this song because pretty much the whole song is just a bunch of gibberish. I don't know if I was going to start reading this, but I feel like there's probably going to be some nasty things said in here. That's pretty much the only part that I know. Shorty, you're my angel, you're my darling angel, and you're my friend when I'm in need. Let's see this part. Life is one big party when you're still young, but who's going to have your back when it's all done? It's good when you're little, you have pure fun. Can't be a fool, son. What about the long run? Looking back, Shorty always a mention. Say me not giving her much attention. Like, what a good song, but it has no there's no rhyme or reason for any of those words. Oh, that's funny. Good song though. Good song. It that song gets you in a good mood. No doubt about that. Okay, what do we got here over on the Zap stream? We got Moravian said have to switch to a work meeting. See you around, guys. Okay, thank you, Moravian. Have a good Friday, buddy. Thanks for the support, man. Danger Zone, he said all cryptos are dust. True. That's very true. And we got, I think this is going to be the Bitcoin Golf Pro, Zap 21, and said gold don't work, golf does. Let's fucking go. That's fair. That's fair. Wasn't me is probably another good one up there. Crypto Tony, new member. Sats and Sunsets, new member. Yeah, Sats and Sunsets is a solid name. And look at that profile pic too with the little castle in the background. Okay, let's bring this up here. I have it up already. What am I doing? Let's check this out. So yeah, I titled the show today, Stack What They Can't Steal. And, you know, I guess we'll listen to Jack first here talk about it, but this is a really good way mentality to have. Are we up here? Yes. Okay. Can we make this full screen? Yes. There's Jack, also known as Satoshi. Also known as Satoshi Nakamoto, Jack Dorsey. Right in your face with a t-shirt. Who knows? Anyways, let's see what Jack has to say about ownership.
Who do you have to ask for permission from? Number one, we discussed a little bit, which is the government. The government is very similar to number two, which is a corporation. The difference is the government has a monopoly on violence. It has an army. It can force you to do things through weapons. While you may think you own a piece of property or you own a piece of clothing or anything that you feel like you have ownership over, it's actually just a lease from the government. They're giving you permission to continue to own it. They can seize it at any point if you do something that is against their policy or against their laws or against their rules. So there is no true ownership with this monopoly of violence.
No ownership. Man, isn't it funny? Isn't it funny that we had a couple years ago with a guy named that dipshit named Klaus Schwab came out and said from the World Economic Forum, you will own nothing and you will be happy. And it's funny because when you think about it, nobody owns anything. Nobody owns anything. Anywhere. Nothing you own is really yours. Because as Jack mentioned there, if you don't follow the rules, they come and they take it from you. Your house, your shirts, your laptops, everything. If you do something that goes against the rules of the state, it's theirs now because they have bigger guns than you. They have an army that basically you fund, right? I think that's the craziest thing to me is like people pay income taxes and they're like, well, we're paying for the military to protect us. Are you? Or are you literally funding the military who, if you step out of line, they take everything from you? So I think that in itself, like the old "you will own nothing and be happy," I think that was I don't know what the purpose of that was, because as it is today, nobody owns anything. Nobody truly owns anything. And even if you take it one step further and you say, well, you don't ever own anything, you just rent it or lease it, because as soon as you pass away, you don't take any of that stuff with you. You die today, everything that you have right now is going to be owned by somebody else tomorrow. So you don't really own anything. And it's the same as Bitcoin at that deeper level. It's the same kind of thing, is that if you passed away, unless we can find some way to pass our keys on to ourselves in another lifetime, I don't know. I don't think that will be around and available in my lifetime. But Bitcoin's a little bit different in the deeper sense, because it's the same thing. Even your private keys, something happens to you, that those private keys are now held by somebody else. So you don't really own anything while you're here. But Bitcoin, that's at a deep level. I would say that's separate, because that even the state level there, if you pass away and you have private keys, let's just play through a hypothetical example here. Let's say if you had one Bitcoin, you have the private keys to one Bitcoin, and you accrued all of those sats, 100 million sats, in a non-KYC fashion. So they're not through Coinbase, they're not through River, they're not through anybody else. You hold the private keys, nobody knows that you have access to that. You pass away, hopefully you give those private keys to somebody else, but nobody knows that happened. So in that sense, you do own it. Your family owns it. Because again, if you can kind of keep it away from everything else, that is something that you do truly own. Because in that same example, where you had one Bitcoin that nobody knows that you have it, even if everything else was lost for you, even if you didn't, I'm not going to say you committed a crime, but you didn't play by the rules of the state, they could come and take everything from you. They could take your house, they could take the underwear you're wearing, they could take your car, everything. They could take it all, but they can't take that Bitcoin. They have no ability to take it. They have no ability to take that from you if you've done it properly. I mean, if you got your private keys in your drawer in your bedroom, that's a little bit different because they're probably going to ransack your house. They're going to find those words and they're going to take your Bitcoin. But if you have everything set up properly, again, they cannot take that Bitcoin from you. So that was the post that I made. It was, what was it? And it's kind of funny because then I saw the Jack Dorsey video this morning and I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense. I want to talk about this anyways. But it's kind of funny how that always just seems to work out. I don't know what that is, why it is. But the post that I had here was stack things that they can't steal. So let me bring this up here real quick. Stack things that they can't steal. This should be kind of everybody's main focus here. So I had, it kind of looks shitty here because again, I'm on one screen today, so you can't really see it very well. But it says stack things they can't steal. Sats, which we just talked about, skills, smiles, and memories. So another hypothetical example here is if your government went to shit and you kind of saw it coming a little bit ahead and you're like, okay, well, I just got to get out of here. Something's going on. I don't know what it is. I don't like it. I don't feel right here. I need to leave. So you probably have to leave everything that you have. Like think about the things that you could pack on and bring onto an airplane. Let's say that I wanted to go from Canada to Indonesia or Canada to Portugal. What could I bring on an airplane? Well, I could probably pack my phone because again, this is kind of in a scenario where I'm kind of leaving under my free will. I'm not, being arrested or taken somewhere or whatever. I'm leaving the country under my own free will. So I could take a couple things. But the point here is that if I stepped on an airplane, leaving everything else, and if I had sats, and if I had skills and smiles through the years I've been around, and memories, I can bring those with me on an airplane. Nobody can take that from me. Those are things that I can own as long as I'm breathing here on Earth. And so when you think about skills, those skills that I'm accumulating right now, I could hop on and go somewhere else in the world, and those skills would come with me. So that's something that I want to stack myself. That's what I want to focus on in my life, is learning, is growing, is becoming better at the things that I'm good at already, and stacking that. And there's so many tools now. You can pretty much become more valuable and more knowledgeable in your desired industry for free these days. We did a video earlier this week where I went through a full conversation with AI, and I learned a lot from that, and that was all free. So you have the ability to do this. And the flip side of this is how most people think. And again, kind of the point of these shows and everything we're doing here is to be part of the 5%, not the 95%. The 95% of people in this world are not stacking sats. They're not stacking skills. They're probably stacking memories for sure. Everybody likes to have a good time, and some people a little bit more than others. But they're stacking cars, and they're stacking watches, and they're stacking sneakers, and they're stacking shit from Temu and Amazon and all this stuff. And it's just all junk. It's all junk. Because number one, it can be taken from you at any time. And number two, you can't hop on an airplane and take it with you. And for the most part, the amount of junk in your life, your family doesn't even want it. If something were to happen to you tomorrow, it's just going to be more of a burden for them to clean up. And part of this was Sats and Sunsets. He left a message in the Visionary School, and he said that he did a big spring cleanup, and he hauled a bunch of junk to the garbage dump. And that's something that I'm really trying to do here, between this and that. But I want to get rid of as much things, physical things, as possible. Which again, I kind of go back and forth with, because the World Economic Forum says that you're going to own nothing and be happy. But then you think about it at a deeper level. I just think that that's kind of like programming people to think that they don't have any sort of agency over themselves. Because again, when we really think about it, nobody's been able to own anything for as long as we've been alive. So I think that that's just a message to try to trick people and say, hey, you're powerless. you have no agency. We're going to tell you what to do, and you're going to be happy about it. But again, when you go underneath the surface here, you understand that as it is today, even if you were a billionaire, you still don't own anything. And so this is kind of the mentality here, the mindset of stacking things that nobody can take from you. And smiles and memories, I think that's a really good reminder for myself. And when I talk about these different subjects here and topics, it's not me sitting up here and telling you what to do. These are I'm speaking these things out loud because I want this to be in my own head, right? Because that's a common theme amongst Bitcoiners, where we think that, you know, we're going to delay gratification as long as we can. We're going to work as hard as we can. We're going to stack as much as we can, but we're never really going to enjoy ourselves until we hit our goal. We're never going to enjoy our life until we get to half a Bitcoin or we get to 1 Bitcoin, and we're going to put everything else aside until we get there. So, I mean, you just kind of have to have some balance there, because obviously you want to be striving for more in terms of your sat balance, but you also got to remember that the point of life is to enjoy it. The point of life is not to have X amount of sats in your spare wallet. The point of life is to smile, to enjoy yourself, to have fun. That's really what it is. That's what everybody wants. And people find different ways to get there. People see different versions of it. But people, I would say that the two main things that people want in life are fun and freedom. The freedom to wake up whenever they want to, the freedom to be wherever they want to be at any specific time of the day, the freedom to take a trip whenever they want to. That's what people really want, is freedom, not having to take shit from somebody else. That's what people really want. And again, you get there through many different ways. Money obviously helps with that, right? Like if you got a bunch of money, you don't have to take shit from anybody. That's what Bitcoin is. That's kind of half the point of this, right? Is Bitcoin is FU money. But the other part of it is fun. People want to enjoy themselves. They want to laugh. They want to love. They want to do the things that they enjoy. That's how they want to spend their days, because we don't have many days here. You know, I talked about this at length for a while, but I kind of got away from it. But we only got, you know, average person gets like 4,000 Fridays in their lifetime. 4,000. That's not that many. And half it is probably gone for everybody here. Half of those are already gone. So we're down to 2,000 Fridays. Some people might have 1,000 left. Some people even less. And then also at the same part, life is very unexpected. There's no guarantee that you're going to get 4,000. You might get 4. You might get 400. You might get 1,000. There's no guarantees, because life is very unexpected. And so it's great. I think the one thing that Bitcoiners do better than anybody else is think about the future and plan for the future and delay things where they don't need something today, so they're going to wait a couple years to do it because they kind of understand what's going on right now. But I feel like some people are too far in the future. They're waiting for this big moment in Bitcoin where they can finally start to enjoy themselves. But it's like, no, that's not the point, because when you combine these things, when you have some sats, when you have some skills, when you have the memories, when you pull these things all together, you don't want just sats, right? And maybe that's kind of where we round out this conversation here. But when you think about those three things, let's just say sats, skills, and smiles. Those three things, a good combination of those, I would say that that's the ideal life. If you're adding value, you're going to get sats. If you're upgrading your skills, you're going to become more valuable, so you can get more sats. And then you can use those sats to create more smiles. But a lot of people, I think that they are chasing one of those things. Like there's a lot of people out there who only chase smiles, and that's fine. But they're not going to leave any sort of, something might happen tomorrow where they can't do it again for another 5 years because they don't have any backing. They don't have any emergency funds. And they spend their whole life in a state of stress and paranoia and anxiety until they can go on the next, binge weekend and have fun. And I used to be like that. The main thing that I used to chase was smiles. But I mean, everybody kind of does that when they're in their 20s. But there's still people doing that in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s. And so that's one pillar here, but you can't just go all in on that. And just like skills, there's a lot of people out there who just want to read books and get smarter, but then they don't really apply any of that. And then they don't have any fun. They waste their whole life, learning facts and reading books. So I think a lot of people go too far down one of these roads, but the best thing that you can do is kind of find a good balance there of sats, skills, and smiles. If those are kind of your three pillars there, and they all kind of complement each other too, as I said there. Because you want to create value, you earn sats, you want to build your skills so you can become more valuable, so you can earn more sats, and then you can utilize those sats to have more fun, have more freedom, to have more smiles, to enjoy your days more. So I just think it's a completely different way to look at things versus like the consumer that we're, raised to be with buying this and trying to buy happiness with things, with physical things, shoes, watches, cars. And, I think it's good to kind of switch away from that, because those things, again, you don't own them and you don't take it with you. And most people, the crazy thing is, like, they chase these things and they think that it's going to bring them more happiness or more friends. But really what they're doing is it's a very artificial life where they think that they're impressing people, but nobody's really impressed. There's always somebody out there with a nicer car. And even if you do have a bunch of money and that's your sole focus is on things and money, people aren't really there for you. They're there for what you can do for them. So it's definitely a fine balance to find here. Like it's very difficult, but I think that if you can be aware of what it is, what the implications are of it, then you can kind of make decisions throughout your day to kind of round those out more. The three pillars of sats, skills, and smiles. Pretty easy to remember that. I should have just left memories off there, because memories are kind of smiles in a way. So stack the things that they can't steal from you, which are sats, skills, smiles. Kind of like it. I kind of like it. Bandman. Good to see you, Bandman. Bandman sounds like a XRP holder. Okay, what do we got here? We got Paulo. Paulo says, good morning. Paulo, living in the future. Good morning in caps. And the Smith stepped in right away. And a new redneck was born. Sats and Sunsets membership times 3. 3 new rednecks today were born. Paulo, living in the future. Monday comes the redneck reset. Oh, is it Monday? The redneck reset. Paulo says, hey, thanks for the membership. Yes. What else we got here? Buck52 says, I keep my private keys in my underwear. That's a good place for it. Hopefully they're at least encrypted, though, in some way. NPub1XA8 says, great points, my dude. Thank you. Shout out to our friends over on Nostr. I don't know who that was. Let me see. It won't show. I think that's it's got to be Bitcoin Golf Pro. It's the same NPub. No, I don't know why it doesn't show up. But thank you. Satster says, especially if there's a magnetic pole shift where you need to migrate to a new area ASAP. We do not have many days. Amen. It is kind of crazy when you think about that, because again, we kind of go day by day, week by week. The weeks fly. I think it's there's a quote that says the days go slow, but the years go fast. And when you think about it that way, it's like the average life is about 80 years. So within that 80 years, you get about 4,000 Fridays in there. And as I mentioned, everybody here is going to be a different spot on that timeline. None of it's guaranteed. None of it's promised. Anything could happen any day. But even so, if you say that that's kind of like your max, 4,000 Fridays, a lot of us have spent half of those. A lot of us have spent 60, 70% of those. And it's like, it just really makes you, question, like, what am I doing? What do I need to be spending an hour on Twitter arguing with people? If this is my finite amount of time and energy, is it worth doing that? Is it worth trying to get more Bitcoin or more sats just so I can leave it to my kids? Because I'm here now. They might be gone tomorrow too. Who knows? I just feel like Bitcoiners need to be a little bit more selfish. I guess that's kind of the point that I'm saying. Because everybody has these really good intentions that they want to pass on their Bitcoin to their kids. And that's great. And you should be doing it for that. And you should be securing your Bitcoin in a way and planning your inheritance in a way where you can pass on your keys. Because that's kind of like Bitcoin's like the total sum of all the value that you've earned in your life. That's really what Bitcoin represents. That's what money did. But money's a little bit different because certain people, certain groups of people had easier ability to get that money. Very easy money. So it's a little bit different. It worked, but it's a little bit different. But Bitcoin is kind of like the total sum of all the value that you've added to the world. And so you don't want that to go to waste. You obviously want to pay attention to the security of that and passing that on to your kids properly. But you also have to understand that by the time your kids are going to need that Bitcoin, the value of it is going to be so much higher than it is today. Then they're gonna need like literally 5% of what you have right now. And so kind of the moral of the story here is like, don't forget about yourself. Don't forget that you have to enjoy yourself. Don't forget that you are the one who has to stack those smiles, because when you're smiling and when you're learning, you're going to be a much better contribution to society than the flip side of things. Camille's here. Good morning, Camille. Slept in. What do you miss? Not much today. We're just having some fun. We're just here on a Friday morning, hanging out. You missed a big zap from Mark. That was the flasher. We had a flasher today. A rare flasher over on the Zap stream. I kind of thought it was over 100K where that happened, but it must be like 50. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, there's the Zap stream that we use. You can actually send peer-to-peer sats across the network. And most zaps just have like a little border around it. But big zaps, fat zaps, it flashes, which is kind of cool. Like the Bitcoin blockchain itself for special blocks. So Mark had a big one today. Sin said, we have days behind us, then ahead of us for sure. Act accordingly. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. That's what I read too. We have more days behind us than ahead of us for sure. Mark said, Jordy, you speak like a man much older and wiser than you are. You are a visionary, literally ahead of your time. Thank you, Mark. I'm not sitting up here trying to say that I know everything or to tell you what to do. I say a lot of these things so that I realize it myself. I've been guilty of all this shit. I've been guilty of spending so many hours and doing so much to try to chase something. And then I have to take a step back and say, hey, we're only here for so long. We only have so many hours in a day. We only have so much energy in a day. Is it worth getting in that argument? And it's hard. It's very hard. Even for somebody who like talks about this stuff every day and tries to keep this stuff as top of mind as possible, it's still very difficult. Understand that there are things that you control and there are things that you don't control. But when you're in that moment, you want control of everything. A perfect example of this the other day is I let Arnie out before we were going for a walk, and I let him out without his little harness on. And usually he just kind of free roams. I never really put a leash on him anyways, but I like to have his harness on just in case I need to grab him, because he's a pretty slippery guy. So I went outside. I'm like, let's put your vest on. Wouldn't listen to me, kept coming close to me, and then he'd like back away and run away. Like it was almost a game to him. And I got really mad. And again, I shouldn't have, because getting mad made things way worse. Then he was scared. Then he wouldn't come anywhere near me. So again, it's not like I'm perfect. I'm just trying to be better at it. I'm not perfect, but that's kind of a good way to think about it. It's like, I'm not perfect, but I'm better. So I think that's what you strive for. You're never going to be perfect. You're always going to have, mistakes and things that you wish you could do differently. But I think if you just try to improve and try to keep the stuff top of mind, then you are going to be better. Because there's also been times where the old me would have just lost my mind. And then it's just like, okay, well, whatever. I'm not going to sit here and spend a bunch of time and energy being mad and upset, because again, energy's finite. Life is finite. Why waste time being mad? Why waste time arguing with people? So you're always going to have your weak moments, of course. But if you can kind of just at least be trending in the right direction and getting better, then that's really all that you can ask for, I would say. Bandman claims he's a truth teller. Go read my comment and learn a little. Bandman, I'm not going to waste a single second worrying about what you have to say about anything. So, Triple S, SAT skills and smiles. I think it's a good, it's an easy one to remember. It's an easy one to remember. Oh, yeah, we got Plural. Plural over in Noster said, nothing more valuable than time. Bingo. And he sent 21 units of freedom with that. Wow, we got a good crew over in Noster today. Good crew over in Noster. Captain zapped 888 and said, hey, Emmett. Who's Emmett? I don't see an Emmett in here. Josh said, Noster, I finally made her in between doctor's appointments and hedge trimmings. Good to see you, Josh. And said, Scotto, though, where has he been? I don't know. We should maybe check on Scotty. I think he's good. I think somebody said that he mentioned that he was going to be taking a little break. We do miss Scotty, though. If you're watching this later, Scotty, it's we miss you around here. Kev said, great message, Jor. I agree and resonate with what you just said. I have a family member who is like that. Did pretty well for themselves, but very prideful and in vain. And I see that in some of my cousins as well. Did pretty well for themselves, but very prideful and in vain. Yeah, the older you get, the faster time flies. No doubt about that. I think there's kind of a hack, though. I think there's kind of a hack for that. I think the reason for that I've come to the conclusion of is that when you're young, you're experiencing new things all the time. And the way that I think about this, the reason that kind of made me think about this is that when you go on like a trip, let's say that you're going on a road trip with your family and it's somewhere that you've never been before. And so there's all this excitement and you're going down the road and you're seeing things, you're looking out the window and you're experiencing things that you've never seen before, you've never done before. And so it seems kind of normal at the time. You're just like looking out the window, it's a 3-hour trip or 5-hour trip. You're just kind of going along the road and you're seeing all these new things everywhere. And that's kind of what it's like being a kid, right? Like you experience all these things for the first time. And so time's much different in that way because then you notice it. You really notice it when you're driving home. So you go somewhere, whatever your destination is, and you turn around and you come back home. And on the way home, that trip, it seems much shorter. It seems like it took about half the time than the trip there did because you've already seen it all. You saw all this stuff on the way there. And I think it's kind of the same for growing older where you just do the same kind of shit every day. You wake up at the same time, you do the same things every morning. Most of your days look the same. And once in a while you do something new, but that's about it. So you're not really experiencing too many new things. And that's why I think the time goes faster when you're older because you've already experienced all this stuff and you just keep doing the same things over and over again. And so I think kind of the hack, it's easier said than done, but it is to try to do different things, to try to experience new things every day. And it's probably even worse these days. And maybe that's why it feels like time's flying right now more than it did 10 years ago, is because when you think about the average person's kind of routine that they have every day, It's like they wake up and they go to bed, they eat breakfast, they go to work. I mean, they come home, they eat, they maybe play with the kids, play with whatever. And then they sit on the couch and they watch Netflix. And that's just kind of like every day. I feel like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it was much different. People would go out to, the Legion, or people would go out to the movies. People would go out to a baseball game, but people just can't afford to do anything these days. And the whole thing kind of goes back to Fiat itself in the sense of like why time's moving so fast. But people just kind of do the same shit every day. So if you kind of understand what I'm saying there with the road trip analogy, imagine that people just do the same thing every day. Of course, time's going to fly because you're doing the same shit. You're not experiencing anything new. You wake up, you go to work, you come home, you sit on the couch, you do it all again, over and over again. So that's probably why it feels like to a lot of people that time's going so fast. It's because they're just doing the same shit. And again, it's not their fault. That's the thing, is it's not their fault. Because the reason why they're doing that, and the reason why they're so stressed out and don't have any energy to do anything else and can't afford to do anything else, is because of Fiat. Because you just have to keep working harder and harder for less and less. And you just want to be able to survive. And it's not how it should be. So I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is. Unless you're Brian Johnson. Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing too, is like, do you really want to? I have the same, like, I know you're talking about the guy that thinks he's going to live forever. That guy, I think, is missing one of the pillars there, which is, well, he probably is not stacking sats. He should be, because if he's going to live forever and he's only going to save in Fiat, he's not going to live forever. But I think he's obviously stacking skills. That's kind of what he's dialed in on. He's trying to live forever. So he spends every waking moment trying to optimize to live for longer. But he's missing the sats and he's missing the smiles, because I'm guessing he doesn't have a whole lot of fun. I know that beer and whiskey is terrible for me. I know that. But, it's fun. You go out, have some fun with the boys, with your friends. That's fun. That's the best memories I have are from, a couple drinks here and there. So I think that Brian Johnson's a little bit too far on like the skills pillar and not enough attention to other things. So you really got to kind of have some balance there, I think. And it's the same. I've talked about this before with like the privacy stuff. The world's pretty surveillance heavy right now. And you could probably optimize your life to be very private. You could cover your tracks online. You could use VPNs and different routers and different anonymous accounts and different phone numbers. You could do that. Like, it's doable. But how much of your time are you sacrificing? That would be like stacking skills for privacy, to optimize for privacy. But how much are you giving up that you could be helping other people, or learning more about what you're good at, or making memories, having fun? You're sacrificing those two things because you're so focused on becoming more private, stacking your skills to be more private. So it's all about, I would say, finding a good combination of the three. Oh, we got some good comments in here. Good commentary. Josh, I don't know if you're here at the start of the show today, but I said a big thanks for the zap you sent this morning to Arnie Boy. You might have been here, actually. You might have been here for that. Okay, what else do we have here? Let's get through some more of these comments. I got to go right away because time's creeping up. Kev said, question, can a black person be a redneck here? Asking for a friend. Yeah, redneck has nothing to do with your skin color. It has everything to do with your status, your Rumble status. But I think that even in real life, I think that black people can be rednecks for sure. I know it's not like the stereotypical what you'd see as what you think of as a redneck, but I'm pretty sure Yeah, there you go. Sin said, yes, as a native Texan, I've been a brown redneck all my life. There you go. Josh says, may as well boost the YouTube algorithm while we're here, eh? That's right. Josh, member on YouTube, in Rumble, and also on Nostr. That's he's got the 3 pillars covered today too. He's got all the bases covered. Andrew said, just play it around with Superback, game changer. Yeah, it really is. You just got to be a little bit careful of what you what devices you're using it with, what access, things like that. But it is pretty cool, and it's actually one of the backup methods for the new Citadel Vault uses Superbacked. So you got everything in the vault itself, but then you have the vault backed up with USB, with micro SD, with Superbacked, and I think the highest tier, you can actually back it up onto a 1,000-year disk, which I didn't even know existed before. So you're backing up your Citadel Vault with special USB, a micro SD, encrypted, obviously everything here, Superbacked, and for the higher tier, you back it up onto a disk. It's like a military grade disk that's supposed to last 1,000 years. So that's kind of what I was talking about yesterday when I was talking about the vault. Is like if you set it up properly from the beginning, it's very difficult, almost impossible. I think it is impossible to lose access to it. So even if the device stops working, even if Craig disappears, you're going to have multiple copies of that you'll be able to restore and your family will be able to restore. So that's kind of like the main thing for it. It's like it's incredibly robust in the way where you can't really mess it up if you set it up properly. But yeah, Superback's pretty cool. That was the original 21 sats using Superbacked. Mark's Zap to you showed up on Nostr's Zap. Oh, nice. That on the... Yeah, okay. How can I see this here? Yeah, Mark made the newspaper, I guess. The headlines, the Nostr newspaper. Progress, not perfection, exactly. Slow motion is better than no motion. And another one of my favorite quotes is, it does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you keep moving. Whatever you're working towards. Hey, Johnny, we're here for a good time, not a long time. Bingo. Stay curious and you'll stay young. That's a great point. Daddy-O's here. Good morning, Daddy-O. Some folks live in perpetual Groundhog Day. Yeah, no doubt. And that's what I feel like their life goes by so quick. It's because they just do the same shit. They don't really find anything new. He wants to live to the last halving. Oh, he is a Bitcoiner. Okay, I didn't know that. I believe Johnson spoke at last year's Bitcoin conference. Maybe he's stacking, but it doesn't seem like he's truly smiling. Mark said, time moves slow when you are eagerly waiting for something in the future. Try buying a new motorcycle in January when you live in Canada. Slow few months. That's true. That is true. And that's another good point there too, Mark, because I feel like, there's a couple different components of this, right? Because let's say that you book a trip with your wife or your kids or your family or your best friends. And let's say it's January, you book it for June. So from January to June, you basically get to live in a state of like excitement because you have this big trip coming up, right? So like those 6 months, you get to kind of live that trip 6 months before. And then more importantly, like after the trip, you have all these memories, all these photos, all these videos, and all these things that you did during that trip in a new place that you can pretty much carry with you for the rest of your life. That's why it's like you pay this amount for the trip. You're only there for like 3 or 4 days or a week or 2 weeks. But like the memories that you make during that trip, you can actually carry those for the rest of your life. Those are kind of like intangible assets, those good feelings that you have, where you can look at a picture or you can look at an item that you picked up there, you can smell it, or you hear a song that takes you back there. There's a couple different songs that I have. Like I had a couple like really significant trips in my life. And I still hear songs now, and it instantly takes me back there. Not just like on that trip or in that city, but like to the exact spot that I was when that song played. Like it's amazing. It's actually amazing. I really think that we really take for granted how amazing we are and how amazing this is. Or not even this. I don't know where the mind is. Obviously the brain's in here, but I don't know where the mind is. But it's really amazing. The week before a trip is, yeah, no doubt. That's exactly right. The week before a trip is 5 times longer than the 1 week trip. No doubt about that. We have a couple like golf tournaments here that we do every day or every year. And it's always like the couple weeks leading up to it is like, so I just want it to be that day. I just want it to be that day. And it goes so slow. And then, yeah, the day of, it's like gone. You wake up and all of a sudden you're going to bed. So it's almost like the time leading up to it is almost as good as the part itself in a lot of ways. Oh, he does have Bitcoin. Okay. I didn't know that. Emmett is my son, Captain says. He's 13 and truly understands the Bitcoin he holds. He watches your videos. Give him a shout out. Emmett, 13 years old and a Bitcoiner. What an absolute legend. Happy birthday, Emmett. Wow. That's awesome, man. That's the kind of stuff that I love more than anything else. Is that you got your kid involved in it, 13 years old. He understands the Bitcoin he holds. Hopefully he also understands like how not just wealthy, but just like how much different he's going to look at the world compared to everybody else, his age, his peers. And it might seem like a detriment some days. I'm sure a lot of Bitcoiners can relate to that, where you feel like you're kind of ahead of the curve and it's difficult to kind of like, have small talk with other people. But hopefully he enjoys, being a kid. He understands that he's only going to be a kid for so long. And it's great to have Bitcoin, but don't, enjoy yourself, man. If I could go back to 13 and 15 and 17 and 20, like you don't realize how good those days were until you're looking back on it. You really don't. So Emmett, happy birthday, buddy. Big happy birthday. And I hope you have a great day today. And I hope you, more than anything else, have fun. Have fun, enjoy yourself. And you're pretty damn lucky that your dad is into Bitcoin and he's looking out for you. You got a very, very bright future, no matter what. Just enjoy yourself. So happy 13th birthday, man. That's awesome. Big one. Big 13. Redneck is a state of mind. That's what I should have said, Daddy-O. That's what I was looking for. Redneck is a state of mind. Bingo. Okay, what else we got here? Speed only matters if you're headed in the right direction. That's true, because you can go as fast as you want to, but if you're going the wrong way, you're just going to get there faster. But at the same time, at least you got there faster and you could figure out that you were actually going the wrong way. If you're going, the worst thing you could do is be going slowly in the wrong direction. Missing Mondays, MOB sent a message to you on school. Not sure if you saw it. Missing Mondays, MOB. Oh, I'm going to have to go back and look. How was I missing it? Oh, because that's Brandon's. Yeah. Okay. I'll have to go back in my notes. Thanks, Sats and Sunsets. Good call. Okay, S. Fanecki here. I don't usually entertain these here, but we'll give you a shot. What I want you to do though is, I don't know if you see this on the bottom of my screen. It's been here the whole time, hour and 20 minutes. But this is where I want the conversation to be. So I do, it's hard for me to ignore people, but I just believe in that because I think that it's, I don't like censorship. And I don't, I took a year off pretty much of one of these platforms. But we'll entertain it. George, should I sell my physical gold and silver for Bitcoin? Why, yes or no? I want to be sure as a father that my kids are going to be fine. Just want to be certain of the best decision. Oh, what a song this is. I don't know how many people would have heard this song, but it's one of my favorites. One of my favorites. And actually this artist here, Johnny Reed, I still, every time I hear, speaking of songs taking you back to a place, Johnny Reed played at my grandpa's funeral. The song Time Flies, I think it was. And every time I hear that song now, I go back to that time. That was probably one of the harder days of my life. I was like 20 and my grandpa was like one of my best friends. But Johnny Reed, today I'm going to, pretty long title name. Today I'm going to try and change the world. It's a great song. It's a great song. Okay, so, I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do here, obviously. I don't think you're looking for that either. But I'll tell you what I did. I just swapped it all because, you know, I think that I started the show talking about gold. So if you want to go back and rewind it, I spent like the first 10 minutes talking about gold. I still have a little bit of silver myself, and for no real reason other than I just like silver. I think that there's elements and properties to it that, you know, are that just align with me. I don't know what it is. It's hard for me to explain. Should I trade that silver for Bitcoin? Yes. But I'm kind of at the point now, and I think that as you go along in your Bitcoin journey, you'll kind of have different, you know, scenarios that you go through. Because for me, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm like completely satisfied with my Bitcoin stack, but I've worked really hard to get to where it is. And I've made a lot of sacrifices for that. I've traded a lot of things for Bitcoin. And so for me to now trade the rest of my silver for Bitcoin, like it's not going to change it that much. But if somebody's like trying to get into Bitcoin right now and you want to, you know, give your stack a boost, that's the best way to do it. And then you can always go back in a couple of years from now and buy more silver. If you're really into silver, go back and buy it then. You're probably going to have a lot more purchasing power at the time. And again, it would be a little bit different right now, I think, if the fiat exchange rate, because even though you know, fiat's a joke, it's a complete illusion of a metric, but it's still like you got to compare silver, gold, Bitcoin, fiat. It's all kind of like measured against that. So I think that if silver was still around $20 and Bitcoin was at like $150,000, like its all-time high, I'd say just hang on to the silver for a while and wait a little while, because you're probably going to want to maximize your sats if you're just kind of getting into Bitcoin now. But based on where we are right now, where silver had such a big run up recently, and Bitcoin's kind of like 50% of its all-time high right now, I would say it's the perfect time to be swapping that for Bitcoin, gold and silver. I should have mentioned gold too. Gold, definitely. Just based on where we are right now, I think that's a really good idea. But you also have to consider here, if you're just kind of doing it for your kids, if you're just strictly doing it for your kids, like you have to understand, I don't know how old your kids are obviously here, but you have to understand how valuable the sats that you accrue for them today are going to be by the time they need them. Like even the last 10 years, we looked at this the other day, but you could have bought Bitcoin for less than $1,000 10 years ago. So it was like $600, I think. So it's pretty much 100x'd in the last 10 years. So if you think about the next 10 years, I think that that's when the majority of the adoption is actually going to come into Bitcoin. So it could be 100, it could be 200, it could be, who knows? There's really no limit on how high this goes. You just don't want to have that sitting on the sidelines and miss a couple days where that happens, because then that's when you're really going to have regret. So that's what I would say, is just like keep some if you want to, like if you have some sort of connection with it, but like just swap the rest, because it's Flintstone shit. It's pet rocks. It's giving more energy to the central banks, because that's the main holders of gold are the central banks. You can't use it online. You can't take it on an airplane. If somebody with a bigger gun than you comes to your house, they can take your gold. Bitcoin just has such unique properties that gold doesn't have. And it's incredibly, incredibly undervalued right now. The last thing I'm going to say here is if you look at the market cap between Bitcoin and gold, if you saw gold and Bitcoin as equal options for your capital, if Bitcoin and gold were equal, the price of Bitcoin today would be like $1.5 to $2 million per Bitcoin. So you have to look at that. You have to look at that because in my opinion, Bitcoin is infinitely better than gold. But even if you said Bitcoin and gold are equal 1-to-1, same characteristics, same value, same use case, the price of Bitcoin today should be $1.7, $1.8 million. So you're getting it at like a 90% discount right now, or even higher than that. So I think that if you do want to get back into gold and silver, you can always get back into it later. But I think just based on where we are right now and what's coming in the next couple of years, Bitcoin's where you want to be. So if you're someone new to Bitcoin, just use River or something, hold it with River until you kind of get your proverbial shit together in terms of your security. But yeah, just swap it. That's what I would say, because that's what I did. Do you think Bitcoin success will create new jobs? Bitcoin success will create new jobs. No, I think that AI is going to get rid of most jobs that humans do. I think Bitcoin's going to empower people to leave their jobs earlier. Like that's what gave me the confidence and ability to leave my job, is that I had Bitcoin as kind of like an insurance policy almost. And so as people leave their job and not only just leave their job, but kind of leave that system, they're going to start working for themselves. They're going to start creating new things. And I don't know if it creates new jobs, but it definitely creates more. I think the main thing that Bitcoin's going to do is create more time for people, right? Because what does Fiat do? Oh, there's two crows fighting right here. What does Fiat do? Fiat steals your time. Fiat steals your time and energy. That's like its main job, because you have to work harder and harder for less and less, which means that instead of working 20 hours a week, you have to work 60 hours a week just to put food on your table. Fiat steals your time and energy. Bitcoin gives it back. And so I think that as that kind of plays out, Bitcoin gives people back time. And with time, they can learn more. They can smile more. They can have more fun. They can have more freedom. And the world's a better place when people aren't fighting each other and stealing from each other. And so I think that that's the one thing that Bitcoin does, is it gives people time. And when people have more time, they can think. Right? Like I think that in the fiat land, most people, we just talked about it, is like people wake up, they go to work, they come home, they watch Netflix, they go to bed. They don't do any sort of thinking throughout the day. They might think of like what they can do for their job, for their employer, but they don't actually stop and think about like, hey, am I really enjoying myself here? What does this mean? I saw this clip here. What does this actually mean? They don't have time to think. And that's a big problem. It's funny because, you know, for somebody like me, I would say I probably think too much. So I have a hard time relating to people who don't think, but that's the reality of things. Like the majority of people on this planet do not think. They don't do any sort of thinking throughout the day. They're just kind of like in autopilot mode. They don't even know how to think. So I think the one thing that Bitcoin gives back to people is time. And when people have time, they're happier. When people have time, they can do things that they want to do. And when people have time, they can actually think. And you think back to like the days of the Roman Empire, and even before that, going back to like the Library of Alexandria. Like what were people back then? There was no like grocery clerks, there was no Uber drivers, there was no any of this. They were philosophers. And the ideas, the most amazing ideas and thoughts and concept came from those days when everybody was just thinking. And the cool thing now is that what I'm most excited about now is that you can combine your own thoughts with the ideas of Seneca and the ideas of Henry Ford and the ideas of whoever, Thomas Edison, because you can come up with these ideas and you could say, hey, what would Thomas Edison think about this? If Dale Carnegie was my advisor, what would he tell me to do with this? This is my idea here. Or even better, you take your idea, you plop it into one of the AI, like a Claude or a Gemini or something like that, and it builds it for you. If you would have had that same idea 10 years ago, you would have had to pay somebody hundreds of thousands of dollars and wait 6 months to a year to even see kind of any sort of progress with that. And there's a lot of risk with that. So a lot of people just didn't do it. And so now there's no friction anymore. You have an idea, you plop it into a Claude or a Gemini or whatever, and all of a sudden you have something in 5 minutes that cost you almost nothing. And just imagine the flywheel effect of that, where it's just like, this is going to keep happening and things are going to keep getting built and ideas are going to keep turning into something real for almost next to nothing. So that's why I keep saying, like, the best imagination is going to win this next decade, because now there's no friction. You don't have to go out and pay somebody to do it. You don't have to wait all this time and go through this whole process. You have an idea now, you can turn it into something within a weekend. And that's incredibly powerful. So Bitcoin's going to create more time. More time is going to give us more time to think. More thinking is going to have more ideas, which now we can convert into something very tangible in almost no capital or time. Yeah, more time will lead to many new inventions. Exactly. And another component to that too is that the fiat system, that system basically decided the winners and losers. That system said, hey, here's a good idea, but it goes against our control here, so we're going to have to exterminate you. Whereas now with Bitcoin and the time chain, and what we talked about all week here is the ability to record ideas in history and have nobody delete those. Like, it's really mind-blowing to me of how unbelievable this next chapter of humanity is going to be because of all these different things. So you think about the inventions in the past, like in the 1900s, somebody invented the ability to drive a car with water. Was it water or oxygen? I think it was water, like an H2O powered vehicle. But of course, the people who controlled the supply of oil, they didn't like that idea, because then their power is gone. If you can power a car with water, what is Esso and Shell and Standard Oil? What's the point of them anymore? So they would get rid of these people. They would get rid of these ideas. And then, of course, you have fiat, which then there's no ability to think and create new things. It's just a very negative spiral. Hydrogen, that's what it was. Hydrogen. Yeah, look that up. There was oh, Sharon B. I didn't even realize that was you. Sharon B. is in the chat. Good morning, Sharon B. Okay, well, we got I got to go here. Did you watch Brandon's recent podcast? That was heated. I did, actually. I watched it last night. Oh, I listened to it last night. And I'm actually Brandon's going to be on here on Monday, just like every Monday morning. And I'm going to give him a bit of a heads up, but I want to talk to him about it. Because what that guy was talking about, it didn't really, I think it really caught Brandon off guard, that he was like so, standoffish. And like, I really didn't like the way that guy approached everything. He really reminded me of like a mid-curve person, where they have all this knowledge in their head and they think that they're so smart, but they're just like, they focus on the wrong things. You know what I mean? Brandon would ask him a question and he'd be like, it depends if you mean this technical explanation of it or this technical explanation of it or this. And it's just like, just answer the fucking question, man. And so he was just basically trying to like nitpick Brandon. And it was difficult for me to listen to. So I want to talk to Brandon about the interview and just kind of do a recap and like what he would have done differently if he was more prepared for like that kind of pushback on it. Because there were some things, like the main thing for me that I want to talk to Brandon about was like, the guy said that Bitcoin's going to fail because people lose their private keys. And I couldn't make any logical sense of what he was talking about there. Like, what does that mean? What happens what about the lost Bitcoin? What about it? He thinks that's going to be like it's going to make society like unable to grow. But he can't see outside of the system that he's been in. He has no ability to look out that past that little wee Overton window that he's spent 60 years in. He has no ability. He's done zero thinking outside of that system. And so he can't imagine a world where you have a finite amount of units. And so what happens in that is deflation, right? Like humans create more things. There's more houses, there's more cars, there's more everything. But they're still measured by the same amount of units. So what happens? With a finite amount of units to measure things, and as things become more abundant and there's more things, that means the price, the cost of those things goes down. It doesn't stop anything. It doesn't change anything. It just means the prices actually come down versus go up. Like it's really not that complicated. But anyways, I'm going to talk to Brandon about that on Monday. Fanny Packer says, hi, Jor from Flipper. Hi, Flipper. Hi, Fanny. Good morning. Bitcoin gives you more time to learn new skills. Exactly. More time will lead to more inventions. As Bitcoin gets more adoption, sorry, I'm giving some screen time here to, I got to go though. I just can't see Bitcoin going to $1 million as it turns into currency. Tonto, you got to show up for more shows. Show up for more shows. This is once you have to get past a certain point of measuring things in fiat. Because what Bitcoin's going to do is Bitcoin's going to become the new unit of measurement. And so it's very difficult to explain in like a 1 minute thing here. But Bitcoin going to 1 million will be like step one. Like that's not the end of the path. It's not like it's going to get to $1 million in fiat and then just kind of start coming down. That's not what this is. Because one thing that because in this comparison here, you're looking at two different things here. You're measuring Bitcoin, like sats, and you're measuring dollars, like fiat. This is what you're comparing to. You're saying one Bitcoin is going to be 1 million units of fiat. But you're comparing something. Bitcoin is a fixed supply. Bitcoin is a fixed supply. Nobody can ever change that. Nobody can ever make more than 2.1 quadrillion sats. Nobody can ever make more than that. There's no limit to how many units of fiat can be printed. No limit. So these are two different systems. And so when you have a limited, finite, fixed amount on one side, and you have an unlimited, unknown, never-ending amount of fiat, there's no ceiling on how high in fiat terms Bitcoin can go. Because the more units of fiat they print with the same amount of units of Satoshis, the price of those Satoshis goes up in fiat because there's more fiat. There's an never-ending amount of fiat. So Bitcoin could go to 1 million. It could go to 500 million. It could actually go to $1 trillion per Bitcoin because there's no limit on how many units that they can create of that fiat dollar. But it's also not going to matter if Bitcoin is $1 trillion if it costs you $1 million to buy a bicycle, right? Like, so you're still measuring things in fiat terms. But if you look at things through a Bitcoin lens and you say, okay, there's only 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis, right? Like I just start there. There's going to be 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis ever, no matter what. And there's how many houses on this planet? Ask AI. Ask AI approximately how many houses exist on this planet right now. And you'll probably get an answer something like 2 billion. 2 billion houses. Okay, so if this is how we're measuring things in sats, which makes sense, right? Because there's a fixed amount. You can't really price things in a currency that we have no idea what the supply is. It's impossible. That's the whole fiat illusion. And so you say, okay, 2.1 quadrillion sats, 2 billion houses. Very simple math. You divide 2.1 quadrillion divided by 2 billion, and you'll get to about 1 million sats per house. Average house. That's what it's going to cost. 1 million sats. So that whole equation there, that has nothing to do with fiat. Nothing in that equation had anything to do with fiat dollars, because it's a joke. It's an illusion. It's a nonsense system that's dying. It's dead, in my opinion, already. So you can do this calculation yourself. 2.1 quadrillion sats divided by 2 billion houses on Earth. The average price of a house is about 1 million sats. If the only thing that you were measuring here, the only thing that you could measure was houses. But of course, there's not. There's land, there's vehicles, there's laptops, there's human productivity, there's phones, there's cold cards, there's everything. But in a world where just houses existed, the average price of a house would be 1 million sats. And again, the key here to understand is that I never mentioned fiat there at all. You're looking at the world through fiat lens because that's all we've ever known. But if you look at the world through a Bitcoin lens, everything changes. So it doesn't really matter what the price of Bitcoin is in fiat terms. It matters how many things you can buy with the Satoshis that you have. Yeah, exactly. Watch Jeff Booth. That's where this whole concept comes from. It's like it's your lens of the world. It's how you're measuring things. And so the main rebuttal to that would be, well, Jor, how do you know that we're going to measure things in sats? And I don't know for sure. Again, but I go with what Jeff Booth here in the sense that if Bitcoin stays decentralized and secure, and we have a finite supply of these, units, that's how you properly measure things. It's impossible to measure things. You can't even know the actual price of a house in fiat terms because we have no idea what the denominator is. We have no idea how many dollars exist. So how can you fairly and accurately measure anything? How can you fairly price anything in fiat when you don't know what the denominator is? So why is sats going to win is because we know exactly how many there are at any given time. Nobody has the ability to change the supply. Nobody has the ability to make more of it. And anybody can audit the ledger anytime they want to. Like that's the way that the world needs to be measured. And it will be, because it just makes sense. And humans always go to things that make the most sense as long as nobody has the ability to stop it. Like we talked about the hydrogen car here. Great idea. Everybody would have used that, except they killed it. They probably killed the inventor. They probably killed the idea. They did this like 100 years ago. But that's what makes Bitcoin different is that they cannot kill it. They cannot stop it. They have no ability to shut down Bitcoin. So eventually it's going to take some time. There's going to be a lot of fighting over it. That's what we see every day. Every time you turn your TV on or Twitter or whatever, they're telling you that Epstein created it or that quantum's going to hack it. That's their only technique for trying to keep this thing down. But eventually it's going to win. So when you're looking at the world through Bitcoin lens, then it doesn't matter what the fiat price is. It's how much you can buy with those sats. And again, in that world, the average price of a house is 1 million sats, which you can buy for about $1,000 here in Canada right now. And the reason why there's such a disconnection there is because the majority of people are still measuring the world through fiat lens. The majority of people have no idea what Bitcoin is. So that's the discrepancy. That's what's going to play out over these next couple decades. So again, it doesn't matter what the fiat price is. It'll go to 1 million. It'll go to 100 million. It'll go to probably $1 trillion because there's no limit on those units. There is a limit on Bitcoin. And the last thing I'm going to say on this is like, don't expect to understand this right away. Like it honestly took me 20, 30 times listening to Jeff Booth talk about this stuff for me to really understand what the hell he was talking about. And that's the whole thing. And that's like the last component of it is like, why is a house $1,000 in Bitcoin terms? Why is that the average cost? Why can you do that? Why can you buy 1 million sats for $1,000 right now? Is because nobody understands this. It's because it is very, very difficult to see the world that way. And that's what nobody does yet. But that doesn't mean it's not going to play out. Oh yeah, I'm out of energy here, folks. I'm out of breath. I'm out of energy. And I got to do the Maple show in an hour. We'll call it a day. Hope you guys enjoyed this show today. I know we're a little bit late, but oh wow, we got a new member over in the Visionaries. Look at that. Shout out to my man Henry. Newest member in the Visionaries. Oh, that was my announcement that I wanted to make. That was the announcement that I wanted to make. So I'm going to give you guys and girls a little bit of inside baseball here. But I'm going to be making some changes here in the next little while. So with the Visionaries community, like I said, we just got a new member over there. But I'm actually opening it up. I'm opening up with the community. It's going to be free. Well, not free. The community itself is going to be free, but all the content and majority of things, you'll have to be a paid member in there. And it's not just going to be free either. Like, it's not just going to be the floodgates are wide open. There's going to be 3 questions that you're going to have to answer, and I'm going to have to approve them. I'm probably going to do it in chunks, so we're not letting a bunch of people in there. But I think it's the right thing to do, because there's a lot of Bitcoiners out there who are looking for other people to talk to. And the reason why this community has been so successful through the years is because it's all been paid. So there's a filter there. You can't just come in there and start spamming and, trying to hack people and shit like that, or creating too much noise. So the paywall has been great in the sense of there's a really solid foundation of people in there right now. But that's what I'm going to try to do with the 3 questions. So it's not going to be you just join and you're in. It's going to be you're going to have to prove that you're going to be a valuable member of the community in a way. So I'm going to do that today. So there's going to be some more changes too. And like I've been talking about, May 1st is kind of like the date to watch out for. But the people who are paid members in there before May 1st are going to have access that people coming after them won't have, in terms of a very long-term view of this. And so you can find that as just school.com/88 sats. I don't know if I'll do that today or tomorrow, open it up. But yeah, it's not going to be just anybody can join. There's going to be 3 questions you got to answer. I'm going to keep people on a pretty tight leash. If they're saying dumb shit or, being annoying, they're just going to be kicked out. But, we do this stuff every day. We do these shows every day. I don't have any sponsors. There's nobody telling me what to say, nobody paying me to promote this. And so it's kind of like the community here who keeps this whole thing going. So we're going to let people in there for free with very limited things you can do in there. But I would encourage you to join, because you're going to get all the content. You're going to get access to our new course, the Digital Homestead, which is going to be starting in about a week from now. And it just kind of helps keeps things going here. It's kind of it's the fuel here for the community. So big thanks to everybody who showed up today for the support. Massive thanks to Mark for the Flashers app today. Oh, wow. I missed a lot in... Is Scotty back? I see a lot of 99s in there. Scotty must be back in action here. Unfortunately, we're not going to get through our usual... okay, I'm going to do it because I don't want to have to do this twice on Monday or 3 times on Tuesday. So let me just bring up something here real quick. Did I share that link in there? Yeah, I did. Saving up for a lifetime membership. And that's part of it. That's part of what you're going to get for being there before May 1st, is you're going to have the ability to become a lifetime member, and then you're there forever. Then you can kind of focus. You don't have to keep paying. You can just kind of focus on building what we have there and improving, stacking your skills, stacking your sats. And there's going to be kind of my main mission with this is for you to actually be able to earn income that can be converted into sats based on what we've already built in there, with the community, with the content, with everything. I want you to be a beneficiary of that. So that's going to be for the people who join before May 1st. They're going to have kind of exclusive abilities that people who join after. Everybody's going to be able to watch the content, go through the course after May 1st. But the people who join before May 1st are going to have the ability to be lifetime members at some point. You're going to have the qualifications to do it. So this is the course that's starting. This is the course that's starting in a week. And it's for people who want better security, better inheritance. And this is kind of like an all-encompassing course for that. So it's pretty, it's going to be awesome. It's, I love the fact that the soft war, the Admiral came out and started talking about this stuff this week, because this is what I've been saying for a long time now. Anybody can vouch for that who's been here for a while. But let me just show you this here quickly. April, this is what the course is going to be about. April 20th. No. 12th. I wish I could see what this is here. What's this from? No, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Where is this? Oh, right here. Right here. So this is what the course is going to be focused on. It's going to be pretty much once a week call. We're going to do it all together. It's going to be very similar to like an actual school where we do kind of a lesson every week. And each one of the lessons are going to be a different topic, a different category, I guess. So you got the land grant, like the best ways to be buying Bitcoin, how to be thinking about it in terms like DCA, smash buy, how to think about your UTXOs, what the best exchanges are, all that kind of stuff. Like the land grant, the blueprint is kind of like mapping out your whole strategy in terms of like taking inventory of where you are, figuring out where you want to go, kind of mapping things out, like the blueprint of it. The bedrock is like the most important aspects of Bitcoin that you really need to understand to be here for the next 10, 20, 30 years. Because if you don't understand this stuff, then you're going to be very emotional. You're not going to have any sort of conviction. When the price goes up, you're going to trade it for fiat. When the price goes down, you're going to panic. And so the bedrock is going to be kind of like focus on what Bitcoin is, growing your conviction. The almanac is kind of how to improve your privacy, running nodes, how to store your passwords privately, all these different things that kind of tie together. That's the almanac. Like that's what farmers use to record things in a very private way. The forge is like what tools you want to use. What tools can you trust? What tools do you need for this job? And then the silos here, like this is kind of like the main goal, the main objective for people kind of going down this road, being part of this course, is the main objective is going to be having your Bitcoin in a multi-sig. So we're going to talk about, like, we're going to start very early on of like what a single sig is. Should you have a passphrase? Where to store the keys to that? Where to store the passphrase? Where to store the device? And then as we go along, it's going to move into a multi-sig or a silo. So that's kind of the end goal for the course, is to have everybody in a multi-sig setup and kind of like going through it, not just in a weekend, but like really understanding what you're doing. Because again, you could pay somebody $2,000 to set up a multi-sig tomorrow, but it doesn't really help you because you don't understand what it is and what you're protecting and what you need to do. And so this whole course is kind of working up to that, working up the mountain towards that multi-sig. And then the harvest is basically to make sure that whatever Bitcoin you have, you don't have to spend any of it. So you figure out other ways in your life to add more income. You can either stack more sats, or you can just kind of keep that balance where it is, but you don't want to spend any of it. That's what makes farmers is the fact that they have their land and they don't sell their land. They don't sell a plot of land to go buy a new truck. They go to the bank and they say, hey, here's my land, here's my collateral, give me some money. And so that's what Bitcoiners want to do with Bitcoin. Same idea. And then of course, the succession here, the estate plan, how to be thinking about this, how to set it up properly so you're not trusting your family, your friends, your lawyer. This is kind of all working towards that. So both multi-sig and kind of like an estate plan or a inheritance plan. So that's what the paid members are going to get for being in the school, is going to get access to this course. And it's going to be like a once per week session. So we hop in there, we do a lesson, and then we do some Q&A stuff, and then we come back next week. So it's a really good way to learn it because Bitcoin's impossible to like learn with a video or a 1 hour call. You really have to, it's repetition, and keeping it top of mind. So that's what it is. And I just see somebody else join just now too. So shout out to, who was it here? Henry joined. And who is this other one? Where'd it go? Where's my mail? Susan. Susan joined. We had Henry, we got Susan. A couple new members today. So welcome, Henry, welcome, Susan. And again, you're going to want to join before May 1st. If you have kind of interest in being here for the long term, but that's going to give you the ability to become a lifetime member where you can basically stop paying and you can just get all the benefits and rewards going forward with it. So yeah, check it out, school.com/88 sats. When will the lessons be? So I don't know yet. I'm going to throw it out there to the group and just give like 3 options and let the group decide, who's going to be there. But they're all going to be recorded. So even if you can't make it a certain day, you can always go back and watch the recording. And if you have any specific questions, you can send me an email or a message and we can kind of cover it, even if you're not going to be there. So yeah, they're all going to be, the recorded versions are going to be there. So definitely if you're a member over in YouTube, I would highly consider joining the school itself, because that's where the live shows are going to be. And that's where the community is going to be. And there's going to be a lot more people coming into the community now that there's going to be a free option for it. So yeah, you can join us for a monthly, a yearly, or what was the other one there? There's a couple different options there. But either way, you're going to have access to it. You're going to get access to all the courses and the new course, the digital homestead there. We're working everybody towards a multi-sig and proper inheritance. So that's it. Yeah, you should, Nick. I mean, you're here every day. You'd be a great guy to have in there. And there's a ton of value. And like I said, the most important part here is because I don't, I'm not trying to sell you on anything, right? You'll know in your heart or your mind right now if you need this. And if you don't, that's fine. That's fine. And I'm not trying to sell you on this. That's why I say, like, if you join and in a couple months from now, you're like, Jor, you lied to me. You didn't give anywhere near the amount of value that I paid for it. I'm disappointed. No questions asked, 0 questions. I'm sending you 100% of your money back in Bitcoin. That's how confident I am that you're going to be, you're going to get way more value returned to you than you pay to be in there. I just think that's the right way to do it. I'm not trying to rip people off here. If you feel at all that you didn't get enough value from it, just shoot me a message. No questions asked, 100% refund in Bitcoin. Even though you paid in fiat, I'll give it back in Bitcoin. That's how confident I am with it. And this course is going to be awesome. This course is going to be awesome. And you're going to have a bunch of people going through it with you. You can ask questions. You're all kind of going together. And it's once per week, about an hour per week. So it's not a huge time commitment, but it's the repetitive, the consistency of it that's going to make a big difference for you. So again, if you're serious about this stuff, you'll know in your heart if you need it. And I would encourage you to join there. So that's it. Keep an eye out. Even if you want to just hop in there as a free and check things out, that's going to be starting probably tonight or tomorrow. I'll open that up. So bookmark that 88 lessons or school.com/88 sats. So that's it. YouTube, I'm going to cut this off, and we got Maple Bitcoin starting in an hour from now. What a morning. Anyways, thanks YouTube. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you soon.